Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome. So, this is a new perspective. I actually want to show you something. But before I do, let me start with what kind of message this is today. There is a collective of guides that want to bring through a message, and it is very clearly a continuation of a certain thread that was present here on this channel before and that I channeled messages for before. And I would like to preface this message with a little bit of information, because I feel like that this collective of guides is very they want to reach the right people, and I think that's going to happen anyways, because it's a pretty a very specific kind of message, and it's not what I would call popular YouTube content. But they want to make the distinction even further. So I'm going to describe the energy of this guides collective. And I'm asking them to guide me through the message. And I'm apologizing if maybe my English is not Englishing. Sometimes it's hard. Like, English is not my first language, and when you are channeling, especially when you're channeling higher beings, this can become a struggle to actually bring through words, because they are very often not communicating in like what we would call language. So my apologies, and just stick with me. Have some patience, please. All right. So this collective of guides, I've never connected consciously with them before, but I'm pretty sure that I had contact because, like I said, I brought through messages before. Yeah, and they are confirming that. But it's the first time that they are making themselves known to me. It feels very... Okay. It feels kind of angelic, or like a council of elders. And when I say angelic, I don't mean the stereotypical way that many people talk about angels in the spiritual community. Nothing of the fluffy romanticizing stuff. I don't mean to offend anybody, but this is just not the kind of energy that's coming through. This is far from fluffy. When I first saw them or felt them consciously just now, I had this very referential feeling. There's a lot of light. There are it's a pretty strong mental energy as well, and that goes hand in hand with the kind of messages that I feel like I've brought through before in their like for them. But higher mind, they're saying this is like the higher mind, the ability to connect things or connect the dots that is a very unique talent, and the stream of the collective this message is for. You are brilliant minds, and you know it. You sometimes struggle a little bit with grounding the energy, and I don't blame you, because it's a lot. But yeah, there is like the struggle with grounding, and you are prone to overanalyzing, overthinking, especially when you don't have something productive that you can set your mind on. So this seems like a little side note for you, that you might want to find something where you can really engage your mind in a very productive way, but also stay grounded and keep on checking in with yourself. I actually talked about that in my last message. Maybe you want to check that out too. All right. So what else? Yeah, what I find very interesting is that there is this strong emphasis on the Bible, but not in the traditional Christian or Jewish sense that you would normally talk about it. It feels like somebody has their roots in one of those rather traditional monotheistic religions, and but you have a very open mind, and like I said, you're somebody who is connecting the dots in a very unique and a very different way. So you like to work with those ancient traditions, those traditional religions, and to make them your own, which is a beautiful thing. And so, yeah, I've said this before in the messages that related with this energy, with this guide collective, that I was drawn to studying the Bible and to work with the original biblical texts, which is not my usual type of thing that I do. But at the same time, I did study culture history. I studied Jewish history and art history, and also general art history, and Jewish history. Okay, they are naming my credentials here, or better, like I'm naming my credentials, but they are, I don't know if they want to make sure that you, okay, so you're somebody who, you do value people with knowledge, and they are stressing that they picked me because I also bring a very unique way of connecting the dots, and I actually do enjoy working with those ancient texts, and so okay, this is why we are working together, and that is interesting. So yeah, if you do recognize yourself in this, you might also want to check out some other videos. I will make sure to link them somewhere, either in the description or like in the video itself. We'll see. All right, so what I want to show you first is this here. I recognized earlier that I made a little mess with some candle wax. And I was drawn to this very unique shape. And then I saw that this looked like a protected space, and there is this little mountain and a little figure sitting on top of it, and it made me think of a prophet sitting on on a mountain. And so at first I had this association with sitting on a mountain and meditating, and like finding your own inner wisdom. And this is like the true journey, like the true spiritual journey of somebody who is becoming their own authority and becoming their own channel to God. And like sitting on this mountain, bringing down the wisdom, and then at some point also coming down from the hill or from the mountain and bringing it to people. So the next thing I saw was, then it changed on me, and I saw that this looked like a little fish, like the mouth of a fish, or the head of a fish. And again, like a figure, and how it got swallowed up by the fish. So this brought me to the story of Jonah and the whale. I think in English it's called Jonah. Forgive me if I use the different names or anything, because sometimes there are little variations in the different languages. So, but I think it's Jonah. So this brought me to the story of Jonah and the whale. And I just saw 12:12 on the timer, which might be significant for you. It's funny because I recognized the same thing yesterday, like in my last message. Just a little side note. So I do believe that you are probably familiar with the story of Jonah and the whale. If not, but I guess you are. But, well, if not, just go and read it. It's not very long. It's in the book of Jonah in the Old Testament, and it's not very complicated to read, and it's not very long either, so you will be fine. But I was also guided to look up a few images and paintings, and this one is a pretty famous one from Jan Bruegel, the older, which is actually, never mind, doesn't matter. Or does it matter? Okay, this is just another side note. All right, I wanted to say that this painting is actually hanging in a museum in my hometown where I am at right now. So there might be something important about locations, about the significance of locations, and maybe you want to change location, or you're thinking about traveling somewhere. Okay, they're saying that if you feel guided to go certain places, trust it, follow your instincts, follow your intuition, and see the whole journey as something sacred, and don't dismiss anything. Like, for example, maybe you're going, maybe if you call to go to a museum, and you might find something there, like a little doorway into a piece of knowledge, or something, something you haven't known before, and this brings you into a whole new they're showing me that it's like a door that opens, and you will find something behind that door that you either didn't know about, or you forgot about it, or you would not have expected to find something like that behind this kind of door. Okay, so now they are bringing me back to Jonah and the whale and the story. So this little monk or person sitting on that mountain meditating, this is also connected to those 3 days that Jonah spends in the belly of the fish. I hear belly of the beast. I'm not sure that, like I said, the language is sometimes a thing. I want to say an obstacle, but they are saying no, it's not. It's not an obstacle. There's something about speaking different languages. I was just about to say that because I'm reading those ancient texts in my mother tongue, which is German, and I know that like the English text probably, it's not always a one-to-one translation, so I'm not used to the terminology of the Bible. So there is something about learning a new language, or not being afraid to... Okay, I'm hearing something about making happy mistakes. Like maybe using a term that is not the quote-unquote correct translation, or like the common translation, like when I'm talking about a certain Bible passage. But I don't know, it when I say something and it is maybe not quote-unquote correct, or like I said, the one-on-one translation, but it might hold a different meaning. And okay, so what they want to say is like there are no coincidences, right? Exactly like this example about going to a museum and finding a certain piece of information there, or whatever it is you're going to find there. It might seem coincidental, but it's not. Trust that you are being guided to the places and people and pieces of information that you need, and that the universe has its way of bringing the right things, people, places, information to you, often in unexpected ways. And be sure to open your eyes, or like to keep your eyes open, and expect it everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's on your YouTube feed, or like I said, in a museum, or a stranger talking to you, or a billboard on the side of the street while you're driving in your car or waiting for the bus or anything like that. So it can be anywhere. Oh, okay, I'm making a mental note. This is for later. So back to Jonah and the whale. So like I said, this is a very famous painting. And maybe there's something important about those Renaissance painters. Like again, this museum thing keeps coming up, so maybe this is a hint for somebody. Or maybe you come across at some point, and this is just like your, like, pay attention when you do. Pay attention. Okay. So the prophet sitting on that, or the monk, prophet, whatever, sitting on that mountain, and Jonah being in the belly of the beast. There we were, belly of the beast. This keeps coming up. It's interesting. Yeah, living in that belly for 3 days before it got spit out. Before he got spit out. All right, so it seems like the message, like the people this message is for, like you. All right, I'm sorry. Okay. There, like I said, you have a very, very strong mind. And the reason why I'm laughing is because last week I've been picking up on quite some stubbornness in the collective. And I had this whole thing with Mercury, and like he was talking about throwing firecrackers into your life to like disrupt the stubbornness and to, it seems like you had to blow up your life or had your life blown up in certain parts, because you, like your mind was holding on to certain things, beliefs, and you had a rather hard time letting go of those beliefs or thought constructs. Yeah, you're very good at making those mind constructs, yeah. Okay, so you had a rather intense wake-up call. Let's call it that way. Dark night of the soul, and a quite intense hermit phase. Like, or let's call it like it's really like in isolation. It feels very, very isolated. Like sitting in a dark belly of a whale alone. And this made you, and this is like how the story goes, Jonah, who got this task from God, and he was supposed to go to a certain Assyrian city and warn people there. And he didn't want to. He actually ran away, and he tried to go to Spain and live a life undercover there, hiding from God and his missions. And of course, it didn't work. God made the sea angry. That's a funny way of phrasing things. So he brought the storm on the ship, and in the end, the crew figured out that it was Jonah who was responsible for that, and he also realized, okay, I'm responsible. So he said, please throw me overboard, because then you can be saved, and I'm taking on full responsibility. And after that, he got swallowed by the whale, and this was when he actually hit rock bottom. Because first he denied his true mission. Like, he knew what was right to do, but he fled. He ran away. And he was trying to hide, and it didn't work. So he was put into isolation. Okay. this is interesting. It's like I see a little boy being sent into a silent corner and scolded, and like, and now think about what you've done. But it's not in a... It seems harsh, but it's for like this person's own good. And it, yeah, this timeout made you realize your truth, and you were forced into acknowledging your truth and your connection with God, or whatever you want to call it, like this higher power and your inner truth. And after 3 days, this isolation phase is over and he is being spit out. And I feel like it's significant that they made me choose this certain picture, or like this scene. Is it? Because this is the moment where he is emerging from the darkness, from this isolation period. And this is exactly where I feel that the collective is right now. It's in this in this moment of, after the dark night of the soul, the going within, the coming back to your own innermost truth, remembering who you are. And now, after remembering who you are, you come back to the world of the living, and you know what to do. You know what your mission is. What the universe entrusted you with. What kind of task? Like Jonah, who knew that he had to go to this city I never can remember the name of, Nivinim or something like that. I'm sorry. And he goes there, and he actually helps the city recognize the truth and not getting destroyed. And this brings me back to Sodom and Gomorrah, where I made like a whole other video about, and which was like this whole there were several messages, those messages that I was referring to earlier, and they were all revolving around this Sodom and Gomorrah story, and the story of self-sacrifice, and about Abraham and the binding of Isaac, all those topics. I will link them up here so that you can check them out if you want to. So yeah, there is this connection to Sodom and Gomorrah where the town itself, or the towns themselves, were lost. They were beyond hope. And even though God gave them a chance, and he tried to, he gave them a chance. And the only one that was, in his eye, like in God's eyes, worth saving was Lot and his wife and daughters. We probably all know what happened to Lot's wife. She wasn't able to cut cords. She turned around and looked back at the city, and then she turned into a pillar of salt. But Lot and his daughters, even though they were not perfect, and this is something they tell me to stress here again, even though they were not perfect, Lot tried some dodgy things, to be honest. God saved them anyways, but he destroyed what was beyond hope. It feels this feels like a very strong thing to say for me. Okay, I hear you cannot save them all. This doesn't mean that they are really beyond hope, but it means that it's not your purpose. This is not why you are here. You're not supposed to rescue those people. Whoever it is that this is what your personal Sodom and Gomorrah is, whatever it is that you are leaving behind, and this can be anything from a place to an organization, a structure, religion, families, friends, a workplace, it doesn't matter. It's something where you are deeply rooted in, and you saw some kind of, you had some kind of loyalty there, you had some kind of cause there why you stayed. But this person this message is for, you found your inner truth. You know what is true, and you also realize that you cannot do what you are meant to do as long as you stay in your personal Sodom and Gomorrah. And so it's different this time because Jonah, he goes to that certain city, and he talks to people and he tells them that if they don't change, the whole city will get destroyed within 40 days. And the people change. They hear him. He's heard, which is a huge difference to the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And so there's this message in here about you leaving something behind where you could not fulfill the very thing you couldn't live your whole truth. You couldn't okay. Fulfill your destiny. It feels cheesy while I'm saying it, but they are insisting. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. It just feels so huge, but it is huge. So you are meant to fulfill your destiny, and this is in this new place where you're going. But there is also a warning in there, and it did strike me when I read the story again, how Jonah, after rescuing the city, he got so angry with God, and he was complaining, and he was saying, why do you rescue those people, those non-believers? They don't even believe in you, they don't even worship you. Why do you rescue them? And God shows him that it's important to care, even for those where you feel like they are not worthy of your care. And I feel like there's a very strong warning in there. Okay, they're saying yes. There's this tendency right now in spiritual circles. Everybody's talking about the big split. Be careful to not label people as worthy or unworthy of being rescued, to view people as less than. We are all humans. We are all here playing our part. And some people struggle a little bit more than others. Okay, this is coming on really strong. They're saying, like, remember how you denied the truth for yourself? Do you remember that you had to be cracked open too? Like, you had to be swallowed by a goddamn whale. Sorry for the language. That was not my intention, but yeah, they're saying that it's strong language, especially like in this context of like we are talking about God, and I'm using this kind of phrasing, but they are saying it's called for. It's important to stress that we all have our unique struggles and that we never know what the other person is going through, what their unique soul journey is. We don't know what kind of hardship they have endured in their lifetime. So it's not us to judge whether or not somebody is worthy of awakening, worthy of seeing the truth, worthy of being rescued. Everybody, every living creature on this earth is worthy of love and of care. Okay, and we are here, like this collective is here to grow and heal out of those ideas about judgment and who is worthy of saving and who's not. And this brings us back to Sodom and Gomorrah. That's the story you leave behind. That's the old story of this external judgmental God that says like, no, this city is beyond, or those cities are beyond hope. I'm not going to rescue them. And furthermore, I'm even going and destroy them in a pretty brutal way. This is not the God that you worship anymore. And it seems like that this transformation came about when you were in the belly of the whale, in this isolation period, and you came to like this inner truth of who God really is. It is the spark of life and love that lives in each and every one of us. God is in everything. And you know that those are the true teachings of Jesus. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, and now they are bringing me, and this is another pretty long message, but I know, like, you like that. This kind, like, this collective, you like that. So, okay, they are saying, like, you're leaving, like, the stormy sea behind you. And what I find interesting is that it's mentioned here in the book as well that, and I read it somewhere else too, that this scene is often compared with the resurrection of Christ. So this brings me to another picture I came across. And this is actually from a Jewish Bible from the early 13th century, 1236 to 1238. I'm supposed to say that. There's the 12 again. And the 1236, 36 is 3 times 12. Something for your mind to chew on. Or maybe not. Maybe you know what it means. I'd love to hear it. If you know what it means, I'd love to hear it in the comments. All right. So this is a depiction of the some kind of supper in the afterlife of those who of the righteous ones, it says here. And this whole image refers to a post-apocalyptic supper after the final war between good and bad, good and evil. And this is where like those who are righteous come together in paradise and have a meal. Those are beliefs that developed after the Bible was written, at least like the Old Testament, because those are rabbinic, like ideas from rabbis, but developed after the Old Testament was already written down. So there are a few things that I want to point out of why they are wanting me to show this. For one, this apocalyptical war between good and bad is to be understood like, first of all, an internal battle. And it is the understanding that there actually is no such thing as good and bad, or better or worse. Like, that everything has its place in this universe, and our task is to go beyond that, to grow out of this duality, come into a mindset of union, which is in its core God, and that's the homecoming. That is life in paradise, because you have evolved out of this dualistic mindset. And what's interesting in this depiction is that they have 3 different kinds of animals here. For one, the Leviathan, a certain kind of fish that they will be able to eat. Then there's a red ox, which will be kosher to eat, and a certain kind of bird, I think it's called sis, that they also will be able to eat. And this is to reward them for being righteous in Jewish belief terms, that they lived kosher and they didn't eat certain animals because they were believed to be impure, not kosher. And for this sacrifice, they will be rewarded. And this whole topic about sacrifice and having to sacrifice something, we talked about that in a deep dive, and I will link it up here for you to check it out. So so there is this belief of in the afterlife you will get what you deserve, and because you sustained from it in like your time of living, and you sacrifice those things, and you will be rewarded afterwards. And this is, like I said, we talked about it in depth in this other deep dive. So the afterlife is nothing you have to wait for, you like after real like physical death, but it's something that you can achieve in this lifetime. And the death, in a sense of being swallowed by the whale and then spit out again, is a death and rebirth process. So you are in this final death and rebirth process, and you are coming into your own paradise in this lifetime. And there is this last thing that I want to bring my attention to, is that of course it doesn't escape me that the Leviathan is also like this huge fish, a very prominent one for that matter, which like draws a line to the big whale. And by the way, I came across this picture because I was actually looking for another depiction of Jonah and the whale, because that was one of the most popular topics that Jewish artists and also the early Christian artists and in Byzantine art, they depicted this story a lot. I don't know why I'm telling this. This seems to be interesting or relevant for somebody. Okay, so this is a story that brings you back to the roots of where everything began. I'm not supposed to say any more about that. Okay, but like I said, one last thing where they want to draw attention to is the fact, like all the animals that we were talking about. And not just that, but when you look closer, and this is actually like a very typical thing for this style of painting from medieval Jewish German, South German Bibles from that time, that they would depict people with animal heads. And they did that. Okay. Because I don't know if you know this, but in like in the Bible there is this rule about how you are not supposed to create images in the likeness of God. And there is a lot of debate, or there has been a lot of debate, especially in Jewish communities, about if it's okay to like depict people, how to illustrate, like if you're supposed to illustrate those stories, and like I said, to depict people. In Judaism there was kind of this agreement on you just should not depict God. So usually when there is like when they want to reference to God, it's very often that they just like show a hand or something like that. But there was this trend in certain areas in Europe, especially between Ashkenazi Jews, that they would depict people with animal heads, and so that was their unique way of adhering to this rule. And it's interesting that they are bringing me to this. I keep calling it rule. I don't remember the correct term for it. There we are again with the language thing. In my edition of the Bible, which is one with commentary that I used for studying, I read in the comments that Jonah was so angry with God that he would not, that he would rescue the city, because he and his people, meaning Jews, they had to bring the sacrifice of not worshipping the golden lamb. I don't know what, again, to call this in English. I'm sorry. I used to know all that, but it's been such a long time since I've been to university studying all that stuff. It's kind of amazing to me that now I need it. Now it's coming back. It amazes me. I'm honest. And it's fun. It's really fun. It's like going back to my roots. There we are again with going back to the roots. And the reason why they, those guides, are bringing this whole thing up about this worshipping of the golden, it's not a lamp, it's it's the worshipping of the golden calf. I had to look it up. It was bugging me. All right, now I'm back on track. It's the worshipping of the golden calf. And so he was angry because he was sticking to the rules. And why would anybody else who was not sticking to the rules find the favor of God and be rescued? So there are two things in here. For one, this anger about, again, with being careful to look at other people and saying, yeah, but they are not living by what I think is true or by what I believe to be the right thing, how I think the world should be. And this judging whether somebody is worthy or not of being rescued or favored by God. And the other thing that's in here is to find ways to stick with the rules, maybe, or what you believe to be true, but find new creative ways of doing that. Like those artists that painted very unique. I think I love those Bibles, and they're so amazing pieces of artwork with those animal heads. One of them, it's called the Bird's Head Haggadah. It's beautiful. You should look it up. It's amazing. So it's a very unique and creative way to not completely break with the old traditions and the old rules, but to make them your own and to go about in a very creative way. And that is also, I'm referencing myself again, what I talked about yesterday, or in my last message, about this collective coming together with a very unique set of skills and bringing them bringing them together in a very new and unique way, playing with tradition and wisdom and knowledge from the quote-unquote old world, And bringing into the new world, for now your new world, bringing with you what you find valuable and worthy of rescuing. And because you are your own God, you are your own authority, you are the one to decide what you want to bring with you and what not. But, and now we are closing the cycle here. It's not about condemning or judging or seeing less than what you left behind. There is like this huge emphasis on valuing what was part of your life, honoring your ancestry, honoring your roots, and also honoring the truth and paths and wisdom of other people, even if they are different than yours. So I think this is a beautiful point to close the reading on. This was a lot of fun. I really like working with you guys. Both collective guides and the collective of incarnated souls here. This is a lot of fun. I really like it. So if you did like that, I would love for you to talk about it in the comments. Maybe give it a thumbs up or even a subscription if you haven't already. And on that note, I am saying take care. I wish you all the best with all of this, and maybe see you in the next video. Bye.